Before we begin, take one quick second to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what you're about to hear, because this story could turn a single penny into something worth a fortune. Now, let's travel back to this coin 1982. Ronald Reagan was in the White House. The Space Shuttle Columbia had just completed its first missions, and gas cost less than $1 a gallon. America was changing fast, and so was the face of its money. The penny, something most people didn't even stop to pick up off the ground, was about to go through a transformation that still confuses collectors and excites treasure hunters to this day. The 1982 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin doesn't look special at first glance. The same familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln stares forward, calm and dignified, just as he had since 1909. Flip it over, and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial framed in tiny detail. To the untrained eye, it's just another penny, one that might have rolled around in your glove box or fallen between the couch cushions. But to a coin collector, 1982 represents one of the most fascinating and pivotal years in the entire history of U.S. coinage. Here's why. For over 170 years, American 1-cent coins were made primarily of copper. But by the early 1980s, the price of copper had skyrocketed. The cost of the metal was so high that it was actually worth more than the coin itself. Producing each penny started costing the U.S. Mint more than 1 cent to make. And that's not a sustainable business model. So in 1982, the Mint made a big decision to change the composition of the penny. The original copper alloy, 95% copper and 5% zinc, was replaced with a cheaper core made mostly of zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper just to keep the familiar look. It was a quiet shift, but one that created one of the most complex and intriguing coin varieties in modern American history. Because the transition didn't happen overnight, both types of pennies, copper and zinc, were minted during 1982. Even more interesting, the Mint was experimenting with different sizes of the date numerals that year, using both large date and small date dies. Combine those differences, and you end up with a staggering 7 different varieties of the 1982 penny, each with its own subtle characteristics. Now, here's where it gets exciting. Imagine you're holding a handful of pennies from your pocket in 1982. Some are the older, heavier copper cents. Others are the newer, lighter zinc ones. Most people didn't notice the change. But hidden among those billions of coins, one particular variety would eventually capture the imagination of collectors everywhere. A variety so rare that today it's worth more than many houses. That's the 1982 D small date copper Lincoln cent. This coin shouldn't even exist. The Denver Mint, identified by the small d below the date, was supposed to be producing only zinc pennies once the switch was made. But somehow a few copper planchets, those small metal blanks, slipped into the presses. The result, an ultra-rare error coin, struck in copper when it should have been zinc. For decades, no one knew for sure whether this coin was real or just a rumor whispered among hobbyists. Then, a genuine example was finally discovered. When verified, the numismatic world went wild. The coin weighed 3.1 grams. Unmistakably copper. Every detail checked out. The impossible coin was real and priceless to SO. How can you tell if you got one? It starts with the weight. Copper pennies from before 1982 and some from early that year weigh 3.1 grams. Zinc pennies, introduced later that same year, weigh just 2.5 grams. If you got a 1982 penny with a D mint mark that weighs 3.1 grams, and the date's smaller and more delicate than usual, you could be holding one of the rarest modern coins ever minted in America. The beauty of this story is how it reminds us that history doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it jingles quietly in our pockets, waiting for someone to notice. Many of us grew up with jars of pennies sitting on a dresser or old cigar boxes filled with loose change. You might have even tossed them into a coffee can decades ago, thinking they were worthless. But somewhere among billions of ordinary cents, there might be a coin that could change your life. Collectors are still searching. Every now and then, a new discovery makes headlines, and it renews hope for everyone who loves the hunt. It's a connection to our past, to our parents and grandparents who use these very coins every day. It's history you can hold in your hand, history that carries the smell of copper and time.so before you spend that next penny or cash in your jar of coins at the supermarket machine. Take a closer look. You might see a 1982 staring back at you, and if it's got that Denver D and tips the scale at 3.1 grams, don't let it go. Because one verified 1982 D small date copper Lincoln cent has been valued by experts and collectors at up to $1 million. Yes, one penny. One small, forgotten piece of metal that could be worth more than gold. That's the magic of history hiding in plain sight. This coin, 1 cent 1982 Lincoln Memorial United States coin history.